Development Course, Business Research Methods, Data Collection Topic, Qualitative Techniques of Data Collection, Observation and Content Analysis. Objective: times to know the meaning. Qualitative techniques of data collection. Times to understand the methods of qualitative research. Times to explain the meaning of observation and its kinds. Times to describe the content analysis and its process. Times to explain the advantages of disadvantages of content analysis. Introduction. In research, qualitative data forms an important aspect of research study. Qualitative data is superior over quantitative data. Qualitative data are the information gathered by means of opinions, views, expressions while data gathering. Qualitative data can be availed in in-depth interviews. It is used also in exploratory studies, structuring research problem and forming hypotheses. In research, no technique is equivalent to qualitative data. Qualitative research is used to explore, describe certain phenomena. It is loosely structured and open to interpretations. Qualitative research is considered to be flexible and intuitive without adhering to a predetermined set of research steps. Qualitative research is extremely a skillful task, needs well-trained researcher in order to analyze the result. Therefore, qualitative method is extracting data in detail directly from the respondents. This type of data may be used for exploratory studies to gather in-depth data such as case studies. Through qualitative data, in-depth understanding of the individual's beliefs, attitude, opinion can be analyzed. The researchers use questionnaire and interview schedule to gather qualitative data to derive complex responses and individual perspectives. Even through unstructured in-depth interviews, observation as well as participant observation. In this method, the researchers also collect data from secondary sources such as diaries, historical accounts, autobiographies and biographies. The researcher immerses themselves in the social situation so that they can arrive at a theory on the basis of what they have gathered. Qualitative data also covers verbal and nonverbal language, identify the parameters of people's attitude and behavior. For X, 1. Give suggestions on improving street roads of your area. 2. Sparking of new ideas on waste management. The explanation or narration of answer to these questions may not be in single word, but a long narration would definitely justify the answer. Qualitative research used to explain or describe the reason for a certain phenomena. Qualitative research is descriptive in nature or exploratory, loosely unstructured and open to presumption and interpretation. Methods of qualitative research. The researcher has a wide range of methods to adopt, such as interview, observation, group discussion. These can be conducted with relative ease and analysis may not be difficult. Further, to adopt this type of qualitative research in the study needs skills and training. The methods of qualitative research are classified as observation, content analysis, focus group method, personal interview method and projective techniques. Observation. Observation means accurate watching and noting down phenomena as they occur in nature with regard to cause and effect or mutual relations between factors. Observation implies systematic viewing for a specific purpose. Observation plays a significant role in perceiving phenomena in a natural environment. Observation refers to using more of eyes and less of ears. A researcher quietly watches the phenomena as it occurs. The most discreetly used method to collect data directly in case of descriptive studies is through observation. This method is also a popular and oldest method of primary data collection. Observation may be carried out in an environment of a natural atmosphere or in a controlled condition. To observe a phenomenon, the researcher has to predetermine the process of observation. Observation not only envisages viewing but also hearing and perceiving. In this method, the researcher would observe, lively, perceive and reports an event. The task of the observer is not to question or intervene, rather just to observe an occurrence. Thus, the method of observation involves viewing of an event, individual, group organization in a scientific manner to yield valuable data related to the topic under study. The observer makes a note whenever he understands a situation or an event relevant for the research study. This kind of approach is more useful in exploratory research. The table depicts how an observation is done by mentioning the items in the sheet. Observation sheet, sports store. Name of the store, location, store personnel, approximate sports materials, weekdays, weekends. Please put tick mark to the items in stocks. Item stock: bicycles, socks, shoes, sport shoes, trekking shoes, footballs, cricket balls. Water bottle, half a liter, water bottle, 1 liter, water bottle, 2L. The observation is classified in different ways. Under this we study disguised observation. The researcher observes an event of occurrence without respondent's knowledge. In this method, since the respondent does not know, one is able to record the natural event as it is, so that he/she can observe the behavior, expression naturally without any manipulation. Here the observer could even use camera or recorder to observe the behavior of the employees in bank, post office or any other industries or organizations to learn in a natural setting. The researcher has to consider ethical issues such as privacy issues, i.e., individual right to privacy. Observation can also be done in artificial or stimulated environment to test the stress level to measure individual's tolerance level. On the other hand, the knowledge of the person is under observation is called undisguised observation. Under this method, when the respondents knows that they have been observed, does not really have any effect on the natural way a person behaves. However, the rapid change in technology has replaced this type of observation over human observation. Thus, observation can be classified into two kinds, i.e., human observation and mechanical observation. Human observation: this type of observation is involved human directly, where recording is done in terms of human observer. In other words, observation can be carried out through a person is involved in observing the situation, where the researcher does not influence the situation but keeps him/herself neutral. In other words, the observer may not in any way contribute to the situation being observed. No verbal and nonverbal cues are sent to the respondent in the process of observation, which may impact the behavior being observed. In this way of observation, the researcher observes, infers and then records. The observer needs to be trained to observe and narrate the situation while bringing it on paper. Observation can also be conducted either through unstructured or structured form. The former envisages that the observer records whatever information is needed for the purpose of the study. This kind of study is useful in exploratory studies, where there is lack of clarity in defining objectives and one is trying to bring out the parameters needed to be investigated between variables. Further, the researcher also can utilize multiple observations to avoid observer's bias of information, so that one can have multiple observation of a same situation in order to get different perspective about the same instance. In case of latter, The researcher has to predetermine the study area to be observed and recordings are clearly defined. But in an unstructured observation, the researcher observes, records each and every minute, details in a narrative form, the entire event that he has observed. Subsequently, the observer categorizes the observed events according to the study. While reporting these events, the observer must be natural rather judgmental over words. This type of observation needs training to report it further. For X, while narrating teacher-student relationship, rather reporting aggressive, one needs to spell out what actually constitutes normal, and aggressive has to be clearly defined so that one who analyzes the relationship can understand the same meaning according to researcher point of view. Mechanical observation. In this kind of mechanical way of observation, a person is replaced by a machine. Here, mechanical type of device is used for long and continuous observation. Later it is subjected to an interpretation and analysis. X. Camera. Mobile phones can be used as a device for observing and recording purpose in stores, banks, post office, railway station that depicts the normal behavior patterns of the respondents. To manage the mechanical device, a person is required to handle the device. Voice recorder and visual picture recorders can also be used as part of mechanical observation. The other devices that can be used to record vital information from respondents is psychogalvanometer. This device measures the impact of skin, which measures galvanic skin response or changes in the electrical resistance of the skin. Small electrodes are attached to the respondent's skin and in turn fixed onto a monitor to check the reaction and impression of a stimuli by the respondents through skin, which is recorded in galvanometer. The other equipment to measure eye tracking and interest of the person in the stimulus is oculometers and pupillometers. The former records the movement of the eye. The oculometer determines what the customer looking at, advertisements, products, etc. The pupillometer measures the interest of the person in the product or image or things. This technique involves brightening out pupils' interest in the various images that is shown before and after test is conducted to measure any change in the interest. Another equipment is quite expensive to use is voice pitch meters, measures emotional reaction of the individual by reporting any change in respondent's voice. This device measures the voice pitch of a person on a changing period of time to know the reaction to a stimuli. Systematic and unsystematic observation, Rees, 1971, has classified observation as systematic and unsystematic observation on the basis of the ability of the observational data. To undergo systematic observation, one should have explicit procedure in observing and recording by following certain rules and logic which makes replication possible. The unsystematic observation does not involve logic and replication of the data. Naive and scientific observation. Naive observation is also known as unplanned and unstructured observation. It becomes scientific when it is systematically planned and executed, covering certain goals, which is subjected to tests and controls. Open and hidden observation. Open observation is a kind of observation in which the identity of the researcher and purpose of the study is known to the respondents. In hidden form of observation, both aspects are remain hidden from the participants who are part of observation. Covert and overt observation. In covert observation, subjects are unaware that they are being observed, in which the researcher himself is participant in all the activities. In overt observation, subjects are aware that they are observed. Therefore, this causes the participants to act differently than they do normally. Content analysis. Content analysis is one of the method of research that aims at analyzing content from qualitative and quantitative documents such as newspaper, magazines, books, journals, and other forms of written documents. According to Berelson, 1952, 489, content analysis is a research technique for the objective, systematic, and quantitative description of the manifest content of communication. Content analysis is a subjective description of information such as opinion, attitude, views, sentiments, ideologies, values of individual and groups, etc. In this notion, Eckhart and Ehrman, 1977, said that as a qualitative technique, content analysis is directed towards more subjective information, while quantitative method is employed when determining the time, frequency, or duration of the event. For X, reality show, the impact of reality show on academic burden among school children. Recently, this is one of the aspects that should be touched by the researchers. The stress put on children to accomplish the task of becoming participant in a singing show, dancing, munch, or a drama stage. What could be their psychological status or mental health if they fail in relishing the challenge? Before and after effects can be studied in comparison with non-participants of reality show. Other examples can also be studied as part of content analysis. They are communal riots, impact of excessive use of mobile phone usage, effects of junk food consumption, knowledge and perception on organ donation, academic stress among college-going students, juvenile delinquency, characteristics of folklore, etc., can be used for content analysis. Content analysis is a peculiar method in its nature that it is classified as a primary data collection techniques, yet make use of previously collected data or secondary data. However, since the analysis is original, first-hand and problem-specific, it is categorized under primary method. One can content analysis letter, diaries, minutes of meetings, articles, audio and video recordings, etc. Process of content analysis. In research, content analysis consists of 4 methods. They are specifying the problem, sampling, choosing units for analysis, and category construction have been analyzed here under. Specifying the problem. Under this, a specific research question must be selected. To illustrate a case, academic stress among school-going students could be studied. To know this particular problem, the researcher could frame questions such as age, class, difficult subject, stressors, causes of stress, family background, parental education, role of family and role of teachers in bringing down stress among students. These types of questions would narrow down ideas so that they can proceed with these types of questions. To specify the questions, the researcher could even consult the experts or senior researchers along with books. Journals will provide them opportunity to learn theoretical aspects. Sampling. Sampling refers to the materials that one needs for content analysis. They are newspaper, magazines, books and journals, TV program, songs and novels, etc. Sampling means materials that are old and new books, magazines known for their analytical views. Here the researcher has to identify the resources content-wise. This involves a multi-stage process. In other words, the researcher has to identify the enormous sources, collect them, and among them, the researcher lists out important sources, go through it, gather particular data, and this enable him/her to pinpoint researcher questions. This method is called as multi-stage sampling. X. Last 10 years, from 2008 to 2018, the number of students had academic stress can be studied. Among them, the researcher can even differentiate between male, female, primary school, higher primary and higher school students can also be studied. Choosing units of analysis. After determining the sampled material for scrutiny, the question arises, what exactly ought to be the unit for analysis? Should units of analysis be words, sentences, paragraphs, chapter? The researchers have to set up categories for tabulating the themes, persons, behavior and so on. Gardner, 1975, has pointed out following units of analysis. 1. The single word. This type of analysis can be adopted in psychotherapy and literary direction. 2. The theme of the subject X. Propaganda, values, ethics, behavior, etc. 3. The characteristics I. The socio-economic, marital, psychological, attitudinal behavior, etc. 4. The sentence or the paragraph. This method is used in mass media. Data involves a great volume of data. 5. The item I. The entire book, film, article or radio program is characterized. 6. The context units. Category construction. This refers to classifying the content of the materials being investigated. The constructed categories must reflect the major theoretical concepts on which the study is based. For X, in the illustration of academic stress, some useful categories could be achievements other than academics, interest of choice, their aspirations, etc. Creating completely exhaustive categories is not easy. Strengths of content analysis. 1. One of the merit of content analysis is that it is an unobtrusive method, i.e., it has no effect on the subject being studied. 2. Content analysis can be adopted while studying cross-cultural studies. 3. Content analysis is helpful to test preliminary ideas, hypotheses or theories prior to a more complete investigation. 4. It is considered as a powerful tool for evaluating personal and social values. 5. This method is known for cost-effective. Limitations. 1. Content analysis is a heavily planned method. It lacks the spontaneity and unplanned qualities of field research. 2. Determining validity is difficult. 3. Some required documents may not be available to the researcher, which may affect the conclusions. Conclusion. The qualitative techniques of data collection consists of observation such as human and mechanical observation, structured and unstructured, disguised and undisguised, covert and overt observation are useful for research purpose. Whereas content analysis has its own qualities to adapt towards research work. Therefore, the researcher could utilize these techniques of qualitative method to collect crucial data from the respondents. The researcher has to study the field of source thoroughly so that they can adopt suitable method to gather data from the respondents.